Hello friends and welcome to my channel Iballdesigningdeveloper. So ever wondered how Microsoft Azure actually works? Let's break it down in the simplest and most exciting way. Azure is like a global network of supercomputers spread across data centers worldwide. When you run an app, store a file or host a website using Azure, it's not your personal machine doing the work. It's Azure cloud infrastructure handling everything behind the scenes. Whether it's a virtual machine, a database, or artificial intelligence, Azure delivers these services on demand through a simple web interface or powerful APIs. So in this video, we will uncover how Azure's magic actually happens and how you can be a part of it. So I hope you will be enjoying this amazing video in which we will be understanding that how Microsoft Azure actually works. So if you understand this amazing video and if you enjoy this tutorial, so remember to hit a like, and if you're new on this channel, want to see more videos like this, so remember to subscribe, and after subscribing, hit notification bell so you can get the notifications of all my videos which I will be uploading in future. So now what we are waiting for, let's move to computer screen and let's dive into it. Alright, so now we're on the computer screen, and like I've told you in the start that today in this video we will be discussing that how Microsoft Azure works actually, because in the previous video I have told you that what is Microsoft Azure, how you can use it, but now we need to understand basically how Microsoft Azure works and what's the purpose to use Microsoft Azure. So if we talk about that how Microsoft Azure works, so how does it work? It's mentioned here, all the text is been about that. So it is a private and public cloud platform that helps developers and IT professionals to build, deploy and manage the application. It uses the technology known as virtualization. Virtualization separates the tight coupling between the hardware and the operating system using an abstraction layer called a hyperversion. So it is just saying me that Microsoft Azure, if you use it, so it's a private and public cloud platforms that helps developers and IT professional to build and deploy applications. Like if you want to deploy, if you want to manage your applications, if you want to deploy them, so for that you can use Microsoft Azure, which I have told you in previous video as well. But it also uses technology which is known as virtualization. And what's the use of virtualization, or what's the benefit to use virtualization? The benefit of virtualization is like virtualization separates the tight coupling between the hardware and operating system using an abstraction layer which is called as a hypervisor. So in the coming up videos I will be telling you that basically what is hypervisor and how you can use it practically, but in this video I will be just explaining you that what is hypervisor and what's the purpose to use it. So if we talk about hypervisor, hypervisor emulates all the functions of a computer in the virtual machine, and it can run multiple virtual machines at the same time, and each virtual machine can run any operating system such as Windows or Linux, and that's really good. And if we talk about Azure, so Azure takes the virtualization technique and repeats it on a massive scale in data center owned by Microsoft. So if you want to run virtualization, if you want to run your data with virtualization to make it more safe, so you can use virtualization technique and you can repeat it on a massive scale in a data center which is owned by Microsoft, because obviously if you are using Azure, so you are purchasing that area, and when you will be running your data, it will be more safe if you are running it in a scale of data center which is being owned by Microsoft. So each data center has many racks filled with servers, and each servers include the hypervisor to run multiple virtual machines. The network switch provides connectivity to all those servers. So if you want to run many of data, or if you want to run many data on each time on each server, so you can use hypervisor for that. If you want to run multiple virtual machines on multiple data structures on data basis, and the network which provides you connectivity to all those servers is called network switch. And coming up on the network switch, we will be understanding that what is network switch, but not now, because if I explain you what is network switch in this video, so you will be having confusion between how Azure works and what is network switch. So that's the reason we'll be moving forward and understanding some other thing about server. So if we talk about that what is server, so one server in each rack runs a special piece of software. So if you want to just run rack of a special piece of a software, so you can use Fabric controller for that, which is an example of server which we run with rack of a special piece. And you can also control each fabric by using controller which is connected to another special piece of software, and that software is known as orchestrator. So orchestrator, each orchestrator is responsible for managing the work, and it is also used for responding user requests. So if you want to respond user request, if you want to just see what is user requesting to you. So for that as well, you can just use this Microsoft Azure, and that's the purpose to use that. And if you want to see what services Microsoft Azure provides you, so these are the following services that Microsoft Azure provides or Microsoft Azure offers when you purchase it. So as I told you in the previous video as well, if you purchase Microsoft Azure, so you have to just pay for that space which you are using, and that's a plus point here in Microsoft Azure, because in other cloud platforms you need to pay for a whole service which you are purchasing. So that's a really good thing about Microsoft Azure which you get. But now in this video we'll be also discussing about services which we get normally using Microsoft Azure, or what offers Microsoft Azure. So compute. So what is compute? Compute, it includes virtual machines. Virtual machine is scale sets, function for serverless computing, batch for containerized batch, and workloads, service fabric for microservices, and container orchestration, and cloud services for building cloud-based apps and APIs. Like if you want to build any cloud-based app, if you want to use APIs, like using virtual machines and their scale sets, so for that you can use this compute, which is called as serverless computing, and it is used for containerized batch workloads. And if you want to use service fabric for microservers, so for that as well you can use compute, which is a plus point there. And if we talk about networking, which has been also provided by Microsoft Azure, so with Azure you can use a variety of networking tools like the virtual network, which can connect to on-premise data centers, load balance, you can use applications gateway like VPN gateway, Azure DNS for domain hosting, content delivery network, traffic manager, express route, dedicated private network fiber connections, and network watcher monitoring and diagnostics. So these are the things which you can use in networking. Like the virtual network, if you want to host your website, if you want to host your application, and you want to use VPN gateway like Azure DNS, like for domain hosting, so for that you can use this networking thing here, from which you can make your work easy in low efficient cost. And that's the reason why we normally use Microsoft Azure services to get offer of these amazing things which we get while purchasing it in a low efficiently cost. Moving on to storage, what storage you can get in Microsoft Azure? So it includes blob, Cour, file, and disk storage, as well as a data lake store, backup, and site recovery, among others. If you want to get like a queue, a file, or a disk storage, and if you want to store that all things using a data lake store, backup, and site recovery, so for that you can use this storage here, which includes all these things. And for storing data, for storing your database, for storing your you can say files, applications, or anything, the data of anything it can be, so you can store it using this storage, which is a really good thing. And if you want to do that with web plus mobile, so you can do that by creating web and mobile applications, which are very easy, and it includes several services for building and deploying applications. And I hope you understand that how we can use this web and mobile services, or you can say web and mobile applications, how we can create it. Because I'm not saying to create it from start, you can just create it from beginning. Like if you're having some designing issues, or if you are not getting good designs, or if you're not liking your design which you have created, so you can do that changes on that platform. You cannot create whole web or mobile application there. You can just make some small changes if you want to, like if you want to change design, if you want to change products, if you want to add some new things in that, if you want to add like new update in your app, if you want to add new features. So for that you can just use this thing, web plus mobile, to create web and mobile application, which are very easy. And it also includes several services for building and deploying applications. So if you want to use some other services which includes building and deploying applications, so you can do that with web plus mobile as well. If you want to use containers, so containers is an other feature which we normally get in Azure. And containers are used because Azure has a property that includes container service, and that container service supports Kubernetes, DS, OS, and Docker Swarm, and container registry, as well as tools for microservices. So if you want to use tools which are for microservices, so for that you can use containers, which are probably with Azure, and that are the property that includes container service, and that supports Kubernetes, DC, OS, and Docker Swarm. So that were the things. And then you can use some databases as well if you want to use, because Azure also includes several SQL database and related tools. So you can only use SQL based databases there. MySQL is a different thing. So MySQL does not have any database or anything like that. So if you want to use some database related things, or if you want to create your own database, if you want to use your own database to store different data, so for that you can use SQL based databases and their related tools. And you can also use data plus analytics, and Azure has some big data tools like HD Insight for Hadoop, Spark, R Server, HBase, and Storm clusters. These are some server names which we normally get in data plus analytics, and moving forward I will be explaining you practically as well how we can use these different types of databases which we get with this analytics when we normally use Microsoft Azure. And you can also use AI and cognitive services with Azure. With Azure developing applications with artificial intelligence capability, you can get computer vision API, you can also use face API, you can use Bing web search which we normally use with Google as well, with Yahoo as well. You can also use video indexer, language understanding intelligence, and you can also use some internet things which includes IoT hub, IoT edge services, and it can be combined with a variety of machine learning, analytics, and communication services. So I hope you understand that we can use AI, we can use ML, we can use cognitive services in Azure, and you can do that with low efficiently because you don't need a really big investment in a business to do that all things. You can do it with your own self in low efficiently cause, and that's the reason why many people or many companies use Microsoft Azure or other cloud platforms to make their work simpler and easy. And if you want to learn that what are the securities and identities Microsoft Azure provides to your data or to your websites or apps which you host there, so it includes Security Center, Azure Active Directory, key valued, and multi-factor authentication services. So the main thing in security and identity is multi-factor authentication services. Why I'm saying you this is the main thing, because by using this multi-factor authentication services, nobody can hack your account, nobody can steal your data, nobody can see the apps which you are storing or anything like that. So that's a plus point here in Microsoft Azure which you not get in any other cloud platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, or any other cloud platform which you are using except Microsoft Azure. Developer tools include cloud development services like Visual Studio Team Services, Azure DevTest Labs, and Hockey app mobile app development and monitoring, Xamarin which is cross-platform mobile development, and more. So you can use these different cross-platform mobile development things if you want to develop any small mobile app there. So you can do that using these developer tools which include cloud development services like Visual Studio Team Services. Normally we use Visual Studio Code to create anything, to create any program or anything, but you can use Visual Studio Team Services there to make that all things and understand what is Azure. So I hope you understand how Azure works, what are the services which we normally use in Azure, why we use it, and basically why it is a public and private platform that helps developer and IT professional to build and deploy, manage the application. So that was the thing about it, and I hope you understand. But if you have any confusion that how Microsoft Azure still works, so you can ask me in the comment section, or if you have any concern about my previous video in which I have explained you that what is Microsoft Azure, so you can ask that as well, so that you should have more good mindset in the coming up videos that how we normally use Microsoft Azure, how it works and all that. I'm explaining you these all things, so moving forward when we are just working practically with Microsoft Azure, you should not have any confusion behind that all things which we have discussed in the previous videos or in this videos which we are covering up here in future as well. So just I will be meeting you next tutorial or in next video about Microsoft Azure, in which I'll be explaining you more other things that what you can use on Microsoft Azure. So for today, goodbye.